take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to Life in Rabbit.
Not the cheesiest big voice you've ever heard. What's up? Episode 5, Life in Red podcast. Ryan Forsyth, very special guest, the man, the legend himself, Dylan Black Radio.
Yeah, well, when you say it correctly, it says Dylan Black Radio on Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter.
And all over the place.
I'll get it there.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Good stuff.
Radio personality, TV personality, Ottawa personality.
Yep.
Man, you're everywhere.
You know, I try to be in as many places as possible. The TV thing sort of just come on the last bunch of years. Radio, though, is 1999. I graduated from Loyalist College in Belleville. I think you know a bit about that place, don't you?
That's where I went.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The alumni, Bell Vegas.
Yeah.
Did you have like Matt and Joe's? I don't know what it was called there.
Matt and Joe, what's that?
It was like the bar. I don't know.
No, when I
went
was
a
in
couple
Belleville, 97, 98, 99, it was called Kokio's was one of the places.
Kokio's.
And I think Maxwell's, or is that Ottawa?
Oh,
yeah. The honest truth
blend
is,
together.
well, I didn't really go out much, so
Hit the books.
yeah, I was more. I don't really like the bar scene, and I never have, even as a teenager or a young guy in his 20s. It's just never been my thing. I kind of find it annoying. I kind of find people that go out, for the most part, sometimes hard to take. Not everybody. So I was more like an indoor kind of guy.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
You know, one of the fascinating things I think about you is, you know, you not are only everywhere, but you're all over social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and one of the cool things, I don't know, like, do you enjoy being on social media? Is it something you have to do, you want to do? Like, because you're on it a lot.
It's both, and I'm one of those people that, and I can admit it, I'm addicted to it. I'm honestly addicted to it. I can't, anytime I have any time off, I'm still on it. I'm checking it. I find that social media has become a very negative place to be. Everybody's complaining about something. If you ever follow me, you'll notice that I don't really post anything. I don't really post my thoughts too much. I may have done that maybe 10 years ago, and now there's no point, because as soon as you put up a thought, even if you had $1 million to give to everybody who liked this post, somebody would find a reason to call you out on it and make you feel like dirt. So my posts are neutral, they're happy, they're inspirational, or they're promotional to help out a charity or a friend, or what we do here at Boom, or what I do at daytime on Rogers TV to get the word out.
I think in the entire time that I've worked with you, which is like 5 years next month actually, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen you post one thing, and it was about Trudeau, and I can't remember the context of it. It was like, just like, congratulations, Prime Minister, like something not even whatever it was, and like your timeline was just like people like blah, 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 and like fighting.
Exactly. and then people even start to attack me, and these are supposed to be people on my friends list, and I'm using quotation marks. They're air quotations, right? It's a good thing to have, and it's also a bad thing. And the good comes that I am able to help out charities, give promotion. I'm also able to meet listeners, viewers, without actually meeting them. Through my role at Yuck Yucks, I'm able to award tickets or giveaways to people without actually meeting them. So it's a good tool for work, and it's a good tool to connect with friends and people that you haven't met yet, but there's that negative side to it. And then sometimes I'm on it so much during the course of like an on-air shift that you start feeling sick after.
Yeah.
Because you're just reading all this kind of garbage. People talking about their dogs are sick, or somebody hates somebody because something, or you'll see like a video posted that you didn't want to see in a million years. Something gross right out of nowhere, right?
Have you hit the plateau on your own personal, because I know your Instagram is kind of new, but Twitter and Facebook, you have quite a bit of pages with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you reached the plateau of social media personality where you're like, hey, hope everyone has a nice day, and then like someone's like F you? Like,
Yeah.
Have you got there yet?
You know, people don't do that to me as much. When I worked at a rock station here in town that's no longer with us, and that sometimes got a little crazy. People were just, I don't know if it was a different mindset or whatever, but like I said, I think it's because I post positive stuff that people don't really say anything to me too harsh, which is good.
You'd have to be a special kind of asshole to like comment on this thing. It's like, hey, support Tyson's mission to 1 million, and some guy's like Trudeau and Dylan Black, left wing liberal hat.
It will happen from time to time, and they will be people that I don't really know. Like it'll just come from out of nowhere, but it's pretty rare, which is a good thing.
So the one reason I wanted to have you on is, you are kind of like an institution in Ottawa, I think.
Oh, come on.
I mean, but seriously, like people know who Dylan, like anyone who's involved in anything knows of Dylan Black.
You'd be amazed how many times I sit in the Bayshore shopping center food court and not one person looks at me.
Well, they don't probably, because you're on you're on TV now, but I mean, you were radio, and that was before social media and videos and all that. So now people are just kind of getting a sense of what you look like. In a way.
Yeah.
But like one fun thing that you do is the Yuck Yucks thing, which for those who aren't in Ottawa, I think it's actually across Canada. There's certain branches, but it's a comedy club.
Yep.
And I mean, you're a funny guy, and I know you don't have the time. Have you ever?
Hey,
hearing
Ryan.
that voice all the time.
Hey.
Have you ever thought about like doing comedy or breaking away from the traditional media role to doing something a little more off the cuff or fun?
People, every time I tell people that I work at Yuck Yucks, right away they go, "Oh, you host there." I don't know why they think that. They think I just like MC at Yuck Yucks, like I bring people on stage or whatever. So my role there is I'm a fundraising coordinator. I help bring charities towards Yuck Yucks, and then we create charity nights for them and raise money and all that good stuff, right? Howard Wagman brought me in. And he's an institution on his own. They made a Howard Wagman Day in his honor and all that kind of stuff. And they've raised over $1 million or $2 million for charities over the years.
Wow. Which
is incredible. So when it comes to me actually being on stage, I'll do the odd charity night myself for different causes, for CHIO or Tyson's Mission to 1 million, as you mentioned. But myself actually getting up there, I've thought about it, and Howard's even invited me to do so. But what comedians do, they're a rare breed. And it's just to be able to go for a 5, 6, 7 minute set and just nonstop. That I can do a minute nonstop on the radio or television or something like that. But for that, and to be that funny for that long, something I would consider, but not yet.
No?
No.
Maybe retirement when you retire.
Yeah, I'll be the funny 70-year-old guy up there. People just be like, look at this old guy. Why is he bothering?
So there you go. You're fundraising for Yuck Yucks. You got your Boom thing. You mentioned you share it all over social media and all these charities. You're always involved in something. I think it's something like you want to do 365 events in a year.
Yeah, that was my thing, and then now I'm sort of. It's just I think because my work schedule is 7 days a week, so we tape daytime Monday to Thursday at this point on Rogers Cable, and then my role at Boom is Wednesday to Sunday. So that's my 7 day a week. And then Yuck Yucks is more behind the scenes. But I'll make the odd appearance there just to support or see what's going on, meet with a charity or perhaps. But the 365 events a year, and when I say that too, people go, wow. But so what I'm talking about is like maybe giving blood or attending a concert or attending like a barbecue. Sometimes the things are just 5 minutes. Sometimes the things are 4 or 5 hours. So it's community-minded events that I try to attend or be a part of 365 times a year. But it's hard right now, I find, to be honest with you, at this point, in the middle of August 2018, I'm sort of running out of steam, kind of.
Yeah, a couple months to go, too.
Well, there's other things happening in my life, a bit, some personal stuff behind the scenes that take up some of my time, and it's just hard. Sometimes I just have enough in me to do my jobs. And some days I'll do all 3 jobs. You know, I'll be here at Boom during the day as the assistant music director. I'll go to Rogers during the daytime. I say on my lunch break, I host a TV show. I'll come back, and then at night I'm at Yuck Yucks. So just to do that some days is a lot.
Of course. So, but I mean, as you get older, responsibilities, things happen, you evolve. I mean, that's you're not as young as you used to be, and I hear getting old is tiresome.
It is.
But why? I mean, you've been doing this for 20 years, like full tilt like this. What made you say this is, the legacy I want to leave or the impact? Like, what makes you want to help so many people all the time?
Well, gosh, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons. I know my dad, when we were growing up, he would work. He worked at a steel mill, and that was not easy work. I did it 2 summers, and it made going to school very easy when I worked there during the summer, and I knew I had to go to school afterwards. Not easy work, and he would work these 12-hour night shifts. He would work 7, 8, 10, 12 in a row just to make sure that my brother and my mom never needed anything. And so I just saw the charitable side in my dad. Anytime we needed cash or we needed something, he would just, his wallet would open, he would be there, right? And so that's my way of giving back is to keep the legacy of my dad going. He's still with us. I'm just saying, it's just, I want to make sure that he taught me that and I continue that. And then I was also mentored by Max Keeping, who was a giant philanthropist and broadcaster here in town, and I watched him do all kinds of incredible things. And I know when Max died, his funeral was Canadian Tire Center. And I thought, now that wasn't because he was on television, it was because he touched all these people's lives. So I know it sounds really crazy, and some people you'll even say it's morbid, but I like to live a life of like, who would be at my service? You know, like what have I done throughout my life that, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of my life, people will be like, that was a good guy, that was a good person, he helped us, let's pay tribute to him. For them to take an hour or two out of their time to pay tribute. And so now I'm not trying to fill, I always joke that I'm trying to fill Centerpoint Theater. So... you know, to see how many people will show up.
How many seats is that?
I think it's like 1,000-ish or something like that.
I bet that'd be nothing for you.
Well, it's a possibility, right? So, so that's why people ask me to be somewhere. Like I do everything I can to make it happen.
There's certain things though that you do a little more than others, and that's not to say no charity has every charity has its merit or cause has, you know, importance. But something like giving blood or donating your time to CHIO, what in particular about those things are so special to you? Like, was something happen personally? Is it just kind of...
Well, so the giving blood thing, I started that up in my high school days. Then it sort of tapered off in my 20s, and I picked it up again. And I know when my mom gave birth to my brother in the 1970s that she needed blood transfusions. And so if that wasn't there, if that supply wasn't there, then I wouldn't be here, because my mom wouldn't have made it. So that's something that sticks in the back of my head. It's also a very easy thing to do. I find it takes about an hour of your time. And so now I'm up to 82 whole blood donations. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of selfish, actually, because I like watching the number grow. That's one of the reasons why I do it.
What number are you at now?
82.
82.
Yeah. So, and you can only give every 2 months as a male. As a female, it's every 3 months. So, I mean, that's just something I do. It doesn't take much of my time. As for CHIO, so I've been helping them out since 96. That's when Max invited me to be part of the first telethon I was part of. Now I've co-hosted or volunteered at 22 of them, which is crazy, right? But it's just the vibe of being there. It's just, I was their mascot for a while, which used to be kind of fun. Yeah, I'd wear the bear suit from time to time.
Smells.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall the smell. I just recall that you just need to be very careful when you have it on. Because people could be grabbing at you or pushing you and whatever, and you can't push back. You have to be like, I'm a bear, everything's
just like
fine.
smiling. Hey.
Yeah, smiling and whatever, right? So whether it's giving blood or CHIO or just any of these causes that I'm a part of, I just see them all as equal. And if someone wants me to be there, then I think they could have asked anybody. So they asked me, and if they give a darn because I'm there, then I'll just... to add some magic because I'm backed by a radio station or TV station, then I try to make their day even better by showing up or being a part of it.
I mean, there's the things you're involved with publicly. Are there things that maybe you would like to get involved more with, or is there things that are closer to your heart that you care about, like deeply and personally, not someone asking you necessarily to do it? Is there things that maybe someone wouldn't know, like that you're really passionate about?
Wow.
Like for me, me and my mental health, and that's something I'm in, and I'm getting involved with now. Like, is there stuff like that for you? It doesn't have to be mental health. But
it's funny because I really don't. I've been very lucky. Like, if it was to all end now, like I'm talking about honestly my life, like I've led. And I've lived my dream. I've been on the 3 stations that I grew up listening to, as a radio announcer. As a kid, I grew up listening to them, and then I got to be an announcer on them. And I've interviewed all my heroes. I've done telethons, as I mentioned. Recently there's a child in my life, and that's exciting. And I never thought that would happen. So it's just sort of like I live every day just to be successful that day. I don't really have a plan moving forward. My plan is just to remain happy or get happier, and try to make the people around me happy. So when they think about me, they don't think like, what a jerk. Like they think that maybe I invoked some kind of like good thing inside of them. So I think I'm involved in so much, and I've done so many things, and I've been so lucky and blessed I've done a lot of things that are on people's bucket lists, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't really have a bucket list per se myself, quite honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your like favorite memory? I know like you talk about like you said you interviewed your heroes.
Yeah.
What like is there things that like stick out throughout your time in radio, TV, everything that you've ever done that like sticks out in your mind and you're like, man, can't believe that happened.
Yeah, gosh. Well, we could sit here all day thinking about that. I mean, right away, I had a chance to interview Michael Bolton, and everybody knows that he's my hero, and that was something, right? And
I just think if I can go the distance, that's really
oh
nice.
yeah, Hercules. And so I was on the phone with him for half an hour, and that's one of those. And I still have a copy of the interview, but nobody's allowed to hear it. That's one of my things because I sort of fangirled a little bit during it, and I guess I was around 25-ish when this happened.
Oh,
so,
that'd be insane.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I couldn't imagine interviewing my hero.
Yeah.
I mean, that's around my age, but
Yeah.
like being like, oh my God. I'm
Yeah,
actually talking to them.
it was really something, and I know towards the end he was talking about how excited he was to get into the world of golf, and I said like I'll quit all my jobs and I'll be your caddy, and he was all like, well, no, but and he was such a good guy. You know, they always say that you're afraid to interview your heroes, like sometimes you're afraid to meet them, and he was complimenting me during the interview and saying nice things about me, and so it was just something, right? But whether it's that or the morning shows that I've got to do in town, like filling in here on Boom, I mean, this is a major market, right, in Ottawa, and it's just it could, like I said, I've done a lot of cool things, and being a part of these charitable events. Even a few months ago, getting to interview John Cleese on the stage of the National Arts Centre, like that was just this cool thing, right?
Would have been legendary.
It was just this major rush, and he made it easy. He gave me some of the best advice that I ever got, actually, in radio, and this just happened. He said, don't worry about what you asked me, because at the end of it, no one's going to remember anyway. So, and I'm like, okay, cool. And he meant that in a positive way, meaning like if you mess up, if you do something silly, if you whatever, people aren't going to like all day, all night remember or berate you for it. They're just going to sort of forget because everybody's so entangled in their own lives, right? So,
do you think so, or do you think now with like social media that might be different?
I think he meant like if I would have said something completely crazy, like if I would have pulled a Roseanne or something like that, then they'd remember it. But if I was just to stumble, ask a silly question, appear nervous perhaps, because when you think back in your life, like think back a year ago or think back like a month ago, do you really recall the day? Do you recall the conversation? Do you recall maybe the big parts of it? But anyway, that sort of calmed my nerves and it helped me out for sure. But just being a part of this environment every day too, I mean, it can be stressful, it can be fun, it's rewarding, it's crazy here sometimes, like in the best possible way, the way we get like joke around and be silly, but it's also business, right? And so I don't lose sight of that either. People think that I have a very cool career, and I do, but it's a job, and you have
I think
to
that's
do it right.
The big thing about radio, and I guess in some instances media in general, that they forget like, yeah, like we're posting pictures, we're having fun, but really at the end of it, like this is our livelihood, this is our job.
Yeah.
And I remember Blues Fest when we were here, which is I think the biggest or one of the biggest of North America. We're posting pictures, we're doing interviews. You did Jim Cuddy, I met Rise Against, 3 Days Grace, and everyone, oh, you're so lucky, and
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm fortunate, but like also like one, this is the career I chose. Anyone could have picked to do this.
Yeah.
And what they don't see is all the hard work that we do every day just to get to those points where we can post on our Instagram with someone. Like no one who's never done an interview really knows how much goes into doing an interview.
Yeah, the prep behind it.
The prep, and the interview itself, like you said with John Cleese, like you're talking to a star.
Yeah.
So to keep your composure.
Yeah.
But then also afterwards, like, with everything now, like posting it like everywhere, editing, like this is like days of work that go in, and especially like, promotions or something just to put all that festival on, or, in your instance, like sitting there and doing music logs all day and getting it prepped.
Yeah.
Like we're here 10, 11, 12 hours a day sometimes. And
yeah, totally.
I don't think a lot of people really, and I mean, to an extent, we don't understand what other people do either in their jobs.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just, I always find it funny. Like, oh, you're so lucky. It's like, I'm fortunate, but like, all this hard work pays off, right? Like,
Yeah.
or you hope it will at one day. But so you've been doing radio for 20.
So it's coming up 21 years that I entered the radio program at Loyalist College. So that was the fall of 97.
Almost 19 years then, I guess, as a professional.
But I mean, I consider those 2 years because some people just jump into radio and are lucky to do it without diplomas. But I consider those 2 years in radio. Like that's where I got I learned, I studied. So I consider those 2 years part of my career.
Okay.
For sure. And like it's been 21 years since I started the journey, and the journey began there. And I believe I'm at the top of my game. I feel strong. I feel confident. But man, I'm anxious as anybody. Like I know people look at me and they, oh, you make it look easy, you make it look cool. Like when I do television, especially, like I'm just anxious because you never know where it's going to go. You never know if the interview is going to go terrible. There's going to be dead air. There's going to be whatever. But I struggle with that a lot daily.
Yeah, and media is an extremely volatile industry right now with everything happening with internet and streaming and being in traditional media. Like you never know what's going to happen. And I'm not even talking about job wise. Just where are they going to take radio tomorrow? Like they could just be saying, we're not doing FM anymore and we're just going to broadcast the internet and everything's going to drastically change. And we're just like, whoa.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot of that over the 21
Oh, yeah.
years.
I mean, when I started on a station in Ottawa called Cool FM, which is now a different station. And it was just like, even back then, so everything was on hands-on. It was CDs, but you had to mix the CDs. You had to... the internet was kind of just getting started. It was 99. So there was no Twitter, Facebook, blogging, I don't believe really existed for the most part. So there was a lot of phone calls. People were calling. Now, at a radio station, people aren't really calling. There was more people in the building. There was overnights. There was all these kinds of things. And that's where I actually started on the overnight show, right? And now you look at every station and a lot of stuff is either recorded or it's not the same. It's definitely not the same, and we're only talking 20 years-ish, right? So,
yeah.
So then you wonder, what's going to happen in 20 years from now? Like, how do you keep staying relevant? How do you keep staying in the game? And I know that's why I do a lot of community work. I mean, I want to help, but I also want to make sure that our brand is helped that way. I want to make sure my own brand is helped, because when push comes to shove and you're shoved out the door, like you need to have some kind of backup, right? So and that's why I work 7 days a week. Another one of the reasons I just keep at it.
What do you say to people, because I'm sure a lot of people listening come from my generation where, I mean, I grew up with radio and I had a special connection with it. And I'm not saying people don't listen, but I think for sure finding it a struggle to entice young people to listen to the radio for the most part with the internet, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they've been saying it for years, but when they say radio is dying or like it's going to die, whatever, like what do you say to those people? Why do you think it's a viable media still?
I do and I don't. I mean, it's so hard to explain because I still have tons of friends that listen but then I mean I'm 40, right? And so my friends around that age range, and maybe I don't interact with as many people in their 20s, just because of be kind of weird, I guess, right? It was just
Hey,
I don't find it weird that we talk.
No, like, all right, that's true. So I'm just saying it's a really hard answer because I want to think that it's still thriving. I want to, and then the numbers come in and you see that there's thousands and thousands of people still tuned in or whatever, and things look great, and so you just have to hope that continues.
Yeah,
I think that it's still very strong, and I'm a radio listener, and I enjoy it. And of course, you've got commercials, you got personalities you don't like, this kind of stuff. But man, I'm always going back to the radio. Like I always go back to it. I don't know if that's because I love it, but that's just where I get my information still.
Yeah. So, I mean, when people ask me that question, I don't think it's dying. I think it's just evolving into something different than it used to be.
Yeah.
It's for sure not what it used to be in the 40s. It's not what it was in the 80s. It's not what it was 5 years ago, really.
Yeah.
It's just changing. It's not dying. And we hear it all the time. I don't know your thoughts about this, but it's the thing that keeps radio alive is being local.
Yeah, totally.
What's your example of being like local? Why does that matter?
I mean, look, because you being in the promotions department, like, look at the amount of requests we get every day for being on site for events. These community events like want us there. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot that are just running like Spotify, or they're running, just whatever, their own MP3s or something. But we are asked to be there a lot because it's cool to have the radio station there, right? We drive around in a station vehicle and people are still like, look, it's the radio. And
it's
people
true.
get excited, right? So I think that having us there, the personalities, like I still get a kick out of meeting personalities in town that I haven't met before. And like, I think there's still a magic to it.
Yeah.
That people still gravitate towards.
Absolutely. One of the things I always listen to radio for is, I go back to the example, 2 examples, and this was even before I was really in the industry. I was working part-time here as street team. So while I'm in the industry, I'm not, I wasn't in it completely, but there was, the bus crash in Barhaven, on the train tracks on Woodruff. And then there was the Parliament Hill shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And the first place that I went, not TV, I went to radio to get the latest, what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, where we'll always have a place, because people are I need it immediately.
Yeah.
TV, you got to do a whole bunch of stuff to get it on. Like podcast or streaming, you're not going to get it. It's not local. Like, we're here, we're sitting there, we're up to date.
Yeah.
Have you been involved in anything like that throughout your years?
Oh,
like
gosh,
any
yeah.
like emergencies or?
Even when I was, tons. I mean, I could tell. I've got 9/11 stories. I've got.
That's what were you doing? Were you on the radio when it was 9/11?
So,
or were you just
I
working?
I wasn't at the station. So it was another station in town that I was working at that point. And I recall waking up, going to the washroom, turning on the radio, because that's something I always did and still do. And I could hear the dramatic like drone music starting, meaning there's breaking news. And a guy named his name was Wayne Parkinson, and he came on and he started talking about the plane flying into the first tower, and so it was like, what is happening? But then as the story progressed, then I had to call work, and because it's downtown where I was working at the time, and I had to ask, am I still going to work tonight? Because people were starting to lose their minds, and are we shutting down downtown and all that kind of stuff, right? And so at the end of it, yes, I did end up going downtown because it didn't get that severe, I guess, in the capital area when it came to like things being shut down and all that. So, 9/11, even when I was doing my internship at that same station, actually, I did my internship there first. So 1999, there was a mass shooting at OC Transpo here.
Oh, wow.
So that was, and many people died on Saint Laurent Boulevard. And so that was something that was very horrific. And I remember being sent down there as an intern to not cover it, but to be a part of the scene, I guess, and see what might have been needed. But then I remember going back, and then they had it on to the FM or the AM station in town that was giving all the news. And so I've seen a lot of this, even it comes when celebrity deaths. I've been on air when Michael Jackson passed away. I remember listening to the radio when Princess Diana passed away. That's how I found out. So it's like radio is just, you're right, it's immediate. It's completely immediate.
We were off air, like you were working off air when Tom Petty passed away last year, right?
Yeah, I wasn't at the station at that point. Yeah. Oh. But I remember I was actually at Chio and I heard it happen.
Okay, because I'm trying to think, and my next question is going down as a media personality who, might be on the radio at the time with the internet now, and the reason why I bring up Tom Petty is like the fake news aspect of it.
Yeah.
Where it's completely changed, where now you might not be getting accurate information.
Yeah.
It's all coming at different places. There's people saying different things. You like what's true, what's not true. Like, how do you sort that out? Because like you said, like people tune in to hear the latest. So you want to make sure as a radio person that you're presenting accurate information.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go about sorting that out now?
Well, it is a challenge. So even this past week with Aretha Franklin passing away, so I received a text from one of my friends saying she passed away, and then I went into the music department, told our music director Mike, and then our program director at the moment Eric, and even they said we can't go to air with it because at that point it was only TMZ that was reporting on it. So it was just, you need to make sure that before you go to air, you have tons of verified sources. So that maybe has taken away a little bit from things as well. But I do recall the Tom Petty instance because I'd heard a credible news guy in town going on air, Tom Petty's passed away, and then he went back on the next newscast saying he hadn't passed away. So that starts to sound kind of silly, right? So it's not as immediate as it was before because people are afraid to say the wrong information and then they'll get in trouble.
Do you feel pressure that you have to be first? Because I think that's a lot of the problem is news agencies, they want to be the one to break the story and get the clicks first, basically. Do you feel pressure?
I like being first. I forget what instance I've been in the studio and something's happened and, we need to get the link up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever and break the news. But I guess I'd rather be accurate. I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to sound uninformed.
Yeah.
So I need to wait until it's confirmed no matter what it is. Because you can go on there and say anything. You can make up anything, and it's not true. And then after a while, people start to not take you seriously.
Have you been a part of, oh, hey. I never said, hey, Siri, phone. Is that...
Siri's talking to you now?
Look, yeah, Siri's listening to our conversation.
Well, yeah, that's good.
Recording.
That's good.
It's going to be on soon, Siri.
So you have one listener for this podcast, at least.
The Canadian government's tuning in now.
Great.
So have you ever been around, people in your time where, I don't want to say they make things up but do they exaggerate? Do they sensationalize information? Have you been a part of, you don't have to name their names.
No, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody, no.
That's good though.
Yeah.
So you can trust the radio. That's
and us being in a major market too, it's the capital of Canada. It's like you can't get away with that. Like you can't just, it's like people will call you out on it. We're a very intelligent city. It's a government-run city, and you can't just go on there and just say the craziest, most outlandish things. Sometimes maybe, is that what radio needs too? I don't know, right? Do you need a Howard Stern to just jump on and just be crazy and wild and, off the cuff? But in this day and age, with everybody with their guards up so much, and I just don't think that's ever going to be a possibility.
Yeah. Look at people like Alex Jones or Rush Limbaugh or something where... Alex Jones, but I don't want to say like Rush Limbaugh lies, but he definitely spins things into certain avenues, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
and gets thousands of listeners, if not more, millions.
Yeah, and I guess that's more like it's a talk show, controversial. Like they want to get people talking about it, right? So talking about either him getting calls on air, off air, getting the chatter going. So it's a good and bad thing depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. So what drew you to radio originally? What was the big moment?
Well, so I don't know. It's a long journey, but when I was in high school, I was the president of the student council, so I got to it was pretty cool, and I was very proud to have that role, and I used it like I sort of use my roles now. I was heavily involved in charity in Vankleek-Hill, and I used to read the morning announcements, and one of the teachers commented on like, oh, you have a voice for radio, that kind of thing. But I actually didn't go to radio school first. I went to concurrent teacher education in Trent University.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Trent Queen's University program. And so it's where you get your Bachelor of Arts and your teaching certificate at the same time.
I had friends who've done that.
Yeah. So they only accept 100 people, and I thought, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. But a few months in, I realized it wasn't for me, and left, went back to Vankleek-Hill, and then radio, which was my first choice to begin with. But I thought I should take the Teachers College try and applied around, got in at Loyalist, and then it just went from there. But as a kid, I used to listen to the radio, and these people that I got to work with eventually at these stations in Ottawa were the people that I listened to in high school, which was a real kick, right? So
when I started working, that was like one of the coolest things is like, now that we're friends, which is awesome, but like when you start, you're like, oh my God, like that's Dylan Black. I listened to him, or Wendy Daniels, or Gonzo.
Yeah.
Even Tom Shock, who hired me in promotions, but I remember listening to him on X and Shay.
Yeah.
And you're like, now I'm like talking to these people. That's one of the like coolest things, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and I still don't lose sight of that, right? And it's just like I remember thinking, okay, so if they're there, maybe if I start mimicking them, and so I'd listen to the radio and study them and try to be. I'm a bit of an impersonator, and like I can take on voices and stuff like that, and I just remember thinking, okay, they're there, so I'll get there by doing that. So I mimic their styles and all that. Now I have my own style, but. Yeah, I used to listen to them as a teenager, and driving the main streets of Van Cleek, and then I got to work with them. So I just figured if they could do it, I could do it. It sounds fun. It's music. It's that kind of stuff. Even though getting into it now, I know it's more than just music and talking. Obviously,
I think most people still think that's what it is.
It's like you just talk and play music for a living. How hard can it be?
My favorite is just because I work in radio. People are like, oh, you have a voice for radio. I'm like, I'm not even I'm not on it ever.
Well, you've got to the Big Red podcast.
Now I do, yeah. So that's a big one. So outside of all this fancy stuff you do that people know you for, like the real Dylan Black, like what are some things outside of all these incredible things you do for the community and the media and where you work? Like what are some things that you enjoy outside of work?
Wow.
Because I know you're almost never outside of work. But
well, and that's the thing, because that's sort of how my life has evolved or morphed into the last few years, for sure. But I don't really. Sometimes people go, you take on too much, or what are your hobbies, or this and that. But you know what? My hobby is doing this stuff, and that is what I like to take on. I mean, I love running when I get a chance. I used to run like 6 days a week, and that's like my happy place. I'd always be out there, and I'd have these epiphanies where I'd come up with these big thoughts or something like that. I think that exercise is like the best thing you could possibly do, and I know that you exercise like crazy, and it helps mental health. It helps everything. You feel better about everything at the end of a good workout, right? And that's extremely important. Time with family and friends, it's important, but the honest truth is a lot of my friends I've sort of pushed off because of my career. And it's not because I want to, it's more just because I don't have the time. And I know that sounds terrible, but I also believe if they're my friends, they would understand that it's important to me to. Right now, my life is a balance game, and that's become a bit of an issue as well in different areas of my life, because I'm always trying to fit stuff in. And I hate using those words when I'm talking to somebody that I care about. I need to fit you in. Like, you shouldn't have to do that, but it's necessity. I mean, I work because I need to pay bills, and I need to also hang on to this career of mine. So,
did I? And this is gonna be like the third podcast I've talked about Henry Rollins, but he's why I'm doing this. He's the one who inspired me. But did I tell you about that quote? I tweeted it out. I don't know if we were talking about it. We talk so much.
Yeah.
But what he said, because what he said, he lives a life very similar where he just keeps busy all the time.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why he said that is because he's like, I work like this to not feel bad.
Yeah.
Like I do it to not feel down, like almost distract from his mental health in a way.
Totally.
Do you find yourself doing that in ways, or to get away from stress, or to get away from other certain things, or is it just more like, you know what, like it makes you happy, it's good for you, like is there any reason why you feel like you need to work so much other than just keeping your job?
Okay. So the number one reason is to stay relevant, to stay valuable, to keep my skills up. I mean, all of that. So that's work related. The number two reason, which is probably almost number one, like there's two number ones, it's because I am running. I'm running from my issues. I'm running from my unhappiness. I'm running from, I would never say that I'm depressed. I think that word is sometimes used a little too casually, because I have a very good life, and but sometimes I get down, I get sad, and I think that's just because of some of my actions. I've eaten poorly, I haven't exercised, I'm tired, but I'm running from unhappiness, things that are happening in my life. I'm running from the stress. And I don't mean physically running. I just mean like by keeping my mind occupied. Like it's another saying, like the Rolling Stone collects no moss, right? So it's just like I'm just constantly on the go. So I don't get rusty, or I don't get. But yeah, I'm definitely running from issues.
Do you ever feel? I don't want to say overwhelmed, because obviously you would at points.
The answer is yes.
No, but like, aren't we all? But do you ever feel like at a point of your life now where you said you're 40 or like that it's time to start narrowing down your focus on certain things instead of trying to spread yourself all over the place?
Actually, it's quite the opposite. So yeah, because I just keep wanting to take on more, which is
To keep up with the
difficult.
young whippersnappers.
I guess, and I don't know what it is. I just have this overwhelming urge or need to just keep doing more, and filling Center Point Theater, like I said earlier, right? Like I just want to make sure that when this is all said and done, that I was here for a purpose. So, so for me, it's difficult for me to spend all my time with one person versus like hundreds or thousands with all these events that I'm doing. Like it's difficult. And I'm not saying that like my significant other would suffer from a result of all this. Like that's the opposite. You know, I want that person to be proud of me, right? Because but it's hard for someone in my life to accept all the things that I've done. Or do, I mean, because there is very little personal or downtime.
Yeah.
But I'm totally like I'm open to everything, and I just keep wanting to take on more. And if I have a day off, which is actually kind of rare because I even have a week off coming up, and every day's planned with work events, so that gets crazy, right? But that's just what I do. Like I have trouble. Like I will literally walk around Walmart, taking selfies in mirrors just to, to pass the time. But I don't I still need to find something to do to make sure that at the end of the day when I'm laying in bed that I feel like it wasn't a waste.
Yeah. So you don't find yourself just sitting around being like, I'm bored.
It's
Ever.
very rare, and if I do that, I feel bad and I feel guilty. I feel like I
crazy.
should be somewhere. I feel like I should be on Facebook looking at the events and seeing if there's something I could drop in on. And I know that's very difficult for people in my world to accept, and but then at the same time it's a catch-22 because it also runs me right into the ground because I feel
sure.
run down, but then it also gives me my strength.
Yeah, you feel energized, you get the adrenaline, but then
sometimes all my charity work and helping people and all that it's a selfish act because I feel better after. So sometimes I'm doing it because I want to feel better. I know that if I help somebody out or if I give something to somebody or whatever, it has nothing to do with them. Sometimes it has more to do with like, okay, now I feel better. The endorphins are released. But then if that's what it takes, and then everybody should be out there helping.
Yeah, like there's clearly scientific evidence that would say that doing good like releases like dopamine and stuff like that makes you feel good. I mean, I do the same. Like the reason why I want to get so involved with mental health and do speaking events and all that type of stuff is, I'm helping people, but like by helping people, I'm also helping myself feel better.
For sure.
And
because I know that week that you did the Pause for Cause. It's not Cause for Pause. Cause for Pause. I mean, I know you were busy because you had 5 events and you were also doing your full-time job. And all that kind of, in life, family life. I know you've got like 400 brothers and sisters, but you were so lit up. You were lit up for months talking about it. You were lit up during it. You were lit up after it. Then you were recognized for it. And I know that it was helping your own mental health.
Yeah.
But it also helped out all these animals, all these organizations, all the people that dropped in to hug animals. So that's where it is. It's like it's a real double-edged sword, right? Because you're helping yourself, you're helping other people, but you're also tiring yourself out.
Yeah. I mean, I was very busy, but
it's
like
addictive.
You said, I was like so proud to be doing that. That's what I've wanted to do for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, spending a couple hours with a bunch of dogs. I mean,
you
can't get much better than that.
Yeah, but you make it sound easy. But I know you were setting it up. You were setting up.
It took me 6 months.
Yeah,
to
you set up
do
everything. Like the just the on-site execution of like the way it looked and the backdrops and the tents and the getting the street team involved and the people that you had to contact. Like that's not. Like I know when I do my birthday extravaganzas in the fall, like people just think, oh, it's a fun night. Like it takes me 2.5 months of emails and people dropping out and questions.
Yeah.
At last minute da-da-da-da-das. And it's actually quite horrific. Like the process of putting together an event is terrible. But then when you do it and when it's done, once again, it's that at the end of the day quote, right? Like at the end of the day, you can either say you did it or you didn't. And what would you rather be able to say?
And you have so much people. I know Clarissa and I were talking about this last podcast that people, it's trendy right now, or it's funny, or it's enjoyable to not show up. So you have a lot of these events where people are like busting their ass to try to do something really, really good.
Yeah.
And people just don't show up. I'm
Yeah,
tired.
it's terrible, and so and that does bug me because I mean, and it's not about me, but like throughout the course of the year, I help quite a few people, and then if I have an event, and then people will be like, no, and if I can say like you've always been there for all my stuff, and it's just been amazing. But
well, you've taught me that even if it's not going for the whole thing, it's showing up. Like you said, like if it's for 5 minutes, that's all you got, but you still showed up.
And you never forget that. There's a few other people in the building here. I wouldn't name names, but it's just like people, like I know who shows up for me.
Yeah.
And I know who doesn't. So I don't want to be that person on the list of people that I know he won't. Like I don't want to be that person. Another person actually taught me another great quote in the last couple of years. And she was having an event and I was helping her out with it and all that. And I kept saying, oh, this person can't make it because whatever, and this person can't make it. And then she got mad and she said, stop with the who can't. Like, let's focus on who can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so true. And I've always thought of that too. Like I've received all these great quotes from people throughout the course of my life. And it's so true. Like you got to just focus on who is there. Who is there? And I get it. People can't drop everything they're doing. People do have kids. People have jobs. It can't always be about you and your little event. I get that, right? But, focus on the people who are there for you. And the next event you throw, maybe the other people will be there.
Yeah. I think if someone really matters to you, you should do everything in your power to be there. Like,
Totally.
Unless it's a totally extraordinary circumstance where you cannot.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not showing up for the people who matter, then what are we doing? What's the point of being human?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all we really got at the end of the day, is just showing our love for people who matter and then reciprocate that back to us.
Yeah.
And like I said, like that's almost since day one, since we became friends and me working here, that's what, like, you've inspired me to do that. And now people my age are like Clarissa, we were talking again last podcast, and I went to her birthday. A lot of people were bailing, so she was disappointed. But when I showed up, she's like, "It's okay. I knew you would show up." And to me, I'm like, that meant the world.
Yeah.
Like that, like you, like that's what I want to be known as. It's like Ryan always showed up for me, no
Yeah,
matter
you can be
what he
counted on.
had going on.
Yeah. And then another thing too, it's another selfish act, but here we go, right? I also believe in karma. Like I believe in karma more than I believe in almost anything. Because like if you do good, like good will come to you somehow. So I'm also talking about all these people. People do bad things. People in the world. People hurt you. People this and that. Like something will get you. Like my dad also taught me, like never try to do something sneaky or go the wrong way about it, because it'll just come back to you. And I learned those lessons as a young man in my 20s when it came to relationships or sneaking around, being silly, or as maybe I bullied people a little bit when I was a kid, right? Like making fun of people, teasing people. I'm not that person anymore because things have bit me along the way, and I'm like that there it is. There's karma.
Yeah.
So like I like to believe that I'm doing these good things, and I see people like you, and like your karma bank is full. Like it's good. And keep doing them, right? And then you see the good things that come up,
Yeah, I'm waiting for most of them still, but
yeah, and you say that, but I mean, here we are, like, recording this amazing podcast, and like, I know you work hard, but you do look at the cool people that you've met throughout the course of the year.
For sure.
The friends you have and the respect people have for you. There's always going to be haters. There's going to be people that put you down. But the most successful people in the world are hated and put down.
Yeah.
I also think like a true sign of success is if you're hated and put down.
I hear that so much
in
from
this world.
People who are big, right? Like that's how you know you're a big deal.
Yeah.
Because people hate you.
Because people can't handle it. Because they're so upset with themselves. They didn't push themselves to do those things, right?
I think that's the big thing too. Is like you have to push yourself. If you want something, you have to just go out and make it happen. And I feel, especially with my generation, who we get a lot of bad rap, who for some justified, some not, but like, millennials being not hardworking and not going after the things they want. And I think it's more depends on the person, but I mean, you really have to go after what you want. If you want to be,
nobody's going to give you anything.
Yeah. If you want to be a famous radio personality, you got to go out and do the events and do the crappy shifts or set up flags in the rain. If you want to make a podcast, you got to go sit in a studio and talk in a microphone for an hour. If you want to do something, just make it happen.
I think millennials, that whole term, like, is completely stupid. Like, I know people my age, I know people in their 50s that are kind of worthless. Like, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like and I mean worthless in like I know it sounds mean, but what I mean is like they're not nice people. They don't work hard. They still, because I'm only 40. Like, this was just years ago. And like, there's a difference of 15 years between you and I, but this is like, it may as well have been last month. Like, these people are still young. Like, we're still young people, and they don't try. They don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know why millennials got this rap or whatever, just because a couple of, like, I don't know. And I think millennials get this rap because of the stereotype of like people like Justin Bieber and all that, and which is ridiculous because he's successful and a millionaire anyway.
And he has to be super hardworking to be there.
Yeah. So like, where did this whole millennial thing come from?
I honestly think don't get me wrong. Like, I hire people and I see sometimes there's not a great work ethic.
Yeah.
But
that's any age.
Yeah, for me, it's more based on the individual than on the class of where you were born. But like, what it really comes down to is just, we have a different way of living and a different way than we were brought up than the way you were brought up and the way you grew up.
Yeah.
Versus you grew up in a different time than when your parents or grandparents grew up, and they probably said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They just didn't have Facebook to voice it.
Yeah. It's all in what. So when you're 40 years old and 15 years from now, like, what are 20-year-olds then going to be called? Like, it's just, I don't know.
I think they're Generation Z or ZZ or something.
Whatever. Something trendy, right?
It's crazy.
I just think it's ridiculous. I think every age has, like, their slackers, let's put it, right? And
well, to me, the people who are the ones complaining about millennials and calling them entitled, were entitled millennials at one point, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They were the people not working hard or doing anything, and then
so
they
many
just
entitled people.
They weren't happy with their lives, and now they're still not happy with their lives, so I'm going to take out my anger on other people.
Yep. Internet trolls.
Oh my God. Do you ever just, I mean, it's not as much anymore, but have you ever just read sometimes when we post a political story on the Boom page?
I'm not a believer in reading comments.
I get sucked into it all the time. It's awful.
I can't. I just can't, because it's like I said. So Justin Trudeau posts whatever.
Oh.
And it could be like free pizza for everybody or something, and all it will be is hate under it.
That's gluten pizza.
It's something. Shouldn't you be doing like important work, or just, why are you taking selfies? And like, okay, first of all, Justin Trudeau taking selfies with people are making people happy. So leave him alone with the selfies.
It's not what the government's for.
I don't understand. he's taking a second out of his time to make somebody happy. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
That goes deep,
but
deep down the rabbit hole. We're gonna I'm gonna post this, and like, it's just gonna be like,
people comment on me and my you're stupid too. So no, I stay away from comment sections because I don't know. I try to believe that those people don't truly exist.
I get sucked into it all the time.
Yeah, I can't.
As soon as you said free pizza for everyone, all I thought was, people are going to be mad that it's not gluten-free. They're going to be mad it has cheese, so how come you're not thinking about the people who are lactose intolerant? There's pepperoni, so what about the vegetarians and vegans?
Or shouldn't that money be going towards the pipeline instead, or something like that?
And then, it's like,
you know what I mean?
I can't keep up.
There'll be something, but no, I stay away from comment sections.
So a little bit off.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty serious. That was deep. You're a big Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah.
Huge. I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Do you believe in aliens or extraterrestrial life?
I don't know.
Do you even have time to think about it?
Yeah, I know.
Let's
I totally
think about
do.
it right now.
No, I totally do. So even when it comes to like religion and, extraterrestrials or Sasquatch, like, I'm not one of those. Some people are either yes, like a hard yes, or a hard no, or like life after death or any of that kind of stuff, right? Until you've experienced it, like 100% for sure, how can you be bold enough to say yes or no? So that's what I'm saying. I love to believe there's a God. I want to think somebody's out there looking after me. Do I know 100% for sure? I don't. I hope.
Yeah.
You know, I hope there's friendly aliens. You know, how can there not be? The
I don't like
universe
Mars
is,
attacks.
the universe is so gigantic, right? Yeah, with Jack Nicholson, right? But then at the same time, like, why haven't we ever seen one? Like, shouldn't we have
People
seen
say
one
they
by
have.
now? But have they really? It's like ghosts. Do ghosts exist? I don't know.
I'd be scared if they would.
Yeah, like maybe they do, maybe they don't. You know,
You don't have a ghost story?
I don't because it's I think it's silly. You know, like, and of course tonight I'll be haunted by something, right? But
Yeah, now we just pissed off all the ghost lovers.
Yeah.
So there's more comments.
but I mean, it's silly because is it true? Is it not true? Do I still get scared at night thinking that there's somebody in my place or whatever? I actually have a problem. Like I have trouble sleeping in a unit by myself. And that's a problem I've had all my life. Like I need to, and I'm not saying like, hey baby, I need someone to spend the night. Like that's not what I'm doing. Like I have issues because I still get afraid, and I'm 40 years old. But what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of my own thoughts. I'm afraid, I'm afraid I'm afraid of like my imagination. You know.
Yeah.
But is there anything there? I don't know. I don't think so.
You let it run though. Like I used to be so afraid. I used to have a basement room, and like that there would just be like. I'd like look up and like the window, just someone's face would be there.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
totally.
Like even now my hair's like standing up thinking about that. I used to scare the living crap out of me.
Because we've seen too many movies, right? We've seen too many TV shows that display this kind of stuff, so your imagination starts getting crazy.
Every time you hear a creak, I'm like, someone's here. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
But I mean, the intelligent part of me believes, how could there possibly be? You know? It's just like heaven. It's just like hell. Like, how can there possibly be when you really start to think about it? But I also hope there is. You know,
you could run yourself crazy thinking about what it's like or what happens. Like, human life is just so fascinating. Really, like we're just these vessels of like thousands of nerves and cells and atoms, and we can think and free will and do all these like. Like, well, how?
And then one day it fades to black.
Yeah.
You know, and then what? So that's why.
It's crazy.
So I keep going to all these quotes. I guess have inspired me throughout the years. But it's just like, don't take your life too seriously because you won't get out alive.
Yeah,
anyway.
I've heard that one a lot.
And it's true because it's like, so every day I'm worried about relationship. I'm worried about job. I'm worried about family and my child. But then I'm like, what does it all matter? Because I'm going to be dead one day anyway.
All this stress
all
is just...
these people I'm worried about.
It's so morbid, but it's true,
like,
though.
Why do we spend a second being unhappy? Like, why do we worry about anything? Because we're not going to survive this anyway. And I know that sounds crazy, but in a way that's also liberating. You know, because it makes you feel like, okay, cool. Like, who cares? Because
no matter how much you screw up or how bad it seems, like
you're not going to escape this.
In like 100 years, it's probably like it's gonna be not in the history books unless you're really bad. But
unless
so
you
don't do that
crazy
bad stuff. But
so it, like I said, it's morbid, but it's also liberating to know that like don't sweat it, man, because it doesn't matter. You know, I think about 5 years ago, 10, 15, the people I worried about and those, like, I don't even associate with any of those people anymore.
That's the craziest part. It's like now that I'm growing up and, like, moving farther away from the people I grew up with, like, sometimes we stay in touch and we talk, but, like, things that mattered 2 years ago, like, I'm...
Yeah, you don't even care anymore.
I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
Those people are like an afterthought. The people that hurt you the most, like relationships or whatever, and you cried about it. I've been with women that it's taken me like a year or 2 years to get past. And then nowadays, like I kind of forget what they even look like.
Yeah.
So it's funny, right?
It's a blessing and a curse, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, in this case, it's a blessing.
I'm a firm believer that one day, actually, that we're just going to be plugging our brains in.
Plugging them in?
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Yeah.
I honestly think we'll reach a point where everything is virtual and like there's no death. There's like, we don't even have a body. Like our brains are just plugged into a system and we live in this virtual...
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think? I
don't know.
I feel like that's the next step. We already kind of are, if you think about it. We're in the beginning stages in a way, right? We're plugged into our phones.
Totally,
We're always
yeah.
on our screens. We're playing video games and Sims and these augmented realities.
Totally. I mean, who knows what the future holds, obviously, but it's just I don't know. I think human life will sort of remain the way it is forever. Like we'll always be human beings, and we'll always live and die, and we'll go through these hardships and all that. And the most important part is just go through them, like learn from them, try to be happy, do silly, crazy things that make you happy every day, because why not? Like it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to judge you anyway. So you may as well be happy doing what you love to do. Like I've always been very open about, like, I love Michael Bolton. I don't like I'm not a manly man at all. Like I hate cars. I hate fixing stuff. But I'll go out and I'll MC your event and I'll try to make your kids smile. And like I just think you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
You just don't just like, yeah, I'm a manly man. I'm this and that. No, yeah, I like rock music. I do like rock music too. But I'm just saying you got to be yourself. No matter who you are, because everybody's different. Everybody's silly, crazy, funny, in their own way. So just be yourself.
What was the best piece of advice that you ever received in your career, your life?
Well, okay, life, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. Career, for sure. This goes back to 2000, 2001 when I was sort of just starting out, and I was doing an event on Spark Street, and I was there with Max Keeping and Stuntman Stu, and it was for the Children's Wish Foundation, and I was nervous. I was just 2-3 years in, and the person who was running the event said, "Would you want to take the megaphone and talk to the street? Max is there, Stu's there. I'm already nervous as it is. I'm intimidated," and I'm like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do it." And Max said to me, "And if you don't take that megaphone, Stuntman Stu will." And I never forgot that. And that wasn't a negative or anything about him or whatever, but Stu wasn't shy. Stu wasn't nervous, but I was. And I thought, okay, so I've taught this or said this quote to many people. Like, if you don't take the megaphone, somebody else will. If somebody offers you something, like opens a door to something, do it. Don't be afraid. Do it. And since then, I've been taking the megaphone. I've been taking the stage. I've been taking whatever people offer that's a positive and running with it, whether I'm scared or not.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, you got to, as I say, seize the day, take the chance, and just figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out afterward.
Yeah. I just never forgot that. It's, if you don't, somebody else will.
Yep. On that note, very inspiring note. Thanks for coming on, man. I think that was a great conversation. What do you have going on in the next couple of weeks? You got a lot of stuff, I'm sure.
Gosh, I mean, we're rolling into the fall season. It's always busy in radio, and I know the new season of Daytime Ottawa is firing up as well. And I've got a whole bunch of MC gigs coming up, ring announcing possibilities. It's busy, and I'm actually overwhelmed thinking about it, but it's a good overwhelmed. It's a good overwhelmed, right? It's going to be another balancing act, 7 days a week, and then nights working on different events and helping people out. But man, if I didn't have this, that's one of the unfortunate parts of my career and our careers, that someone allows us to do this. Because if Rogers Television didn't hire me, or Chorus Entertainment didn't hire me, then it would be tough for me to just get off the ground with my own TV show out of my basement. So I appreciate my employers. I truly do. And I don't just say that to suck up. It's like, if I didn't have all these people giving me the microphone, giving me the platform all these years, then I wouldn't have been able to do all these cool things. It's in me to do these things for sure, but I need the help and the platforms. So it's going to be busy moving forward, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Of course. Remind people where they can follow you.
At Dylan Black Radio.
Dylan Black Radio.
Yeah, and give the gift of life, give blood.
84 times.
82 times?
82 times. We'll get to 84.
Blood.ca. Blood.ca. Check it out.
Dylan Black, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. 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 The rabbit hole goes.